There we go. Yeah.
All right.
We're live. The
Yeah.
likelihood of anybody actually watching this live is very
Yeah, I
small.
don't know.
But the replay value will
Exactly.
absolutely still be there.
Mm-hmm. It'll be great.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're sharing this on our personal pages as well.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know, including myself, Denison was in San Francisco this past week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, wasn't aware. So we're doing a late night live stream.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm interested to find out how spontaneity of you winding up in the Bay Area, baby. Yay
Yeah,
area.
man. Yeah, man. Um. Yeah. So, I mean, it was probably less spontaneity and more of, uh, just me forgetting how quickly all the dates are coming up. So that was probably more
Oh,
along the lines. Um. I
I
had
was
it on
like,
my
man, you
Google
were
Calendar,
just
but
here
I
last
forgot.
week. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, you were
Well,
just here last week. I was like, I don't remember us talking about that. What the heck?
yeah. I mean, like, you know, I had it on my Google Calendar, but, I don't look at that every single day. Um, so for the most part, that was kind of what happened. It just kind of popped up, and I was like, "Oh wait, I'm gonna be leaving for San Francisco."
Yeah.
So me and Christina had planned uh, the trip a 2-3 weeks ago, something like that, because we got some really good cheap tickets when it came, pardon me, to flights.
Okay.
So we went ahead and did that, and so we flew out on Saturday morning, all the way. It was like we flew out at like 7, and we got there at like 9. So it was crazy, man. It was crazy. It was a very fun trip, though. Very,
Yeah.
very eventful. It's funny because we got to the terminal like just in time, because the where I am is not close to the airport, and so I woke up early ish, pretty early.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I woke up at like 5,
Dang. That's
and
early. No, that is,
my flight left at 7, but you had to be boarding by 6 or something like that.
yeah.
And getting there, so we were going to take an Uber, which would have been nice, right? But the problem was apparently at that point in time there was no Ubers, so we had to drive there,
Oh, wow.
and park the car instead of, because we were going to try to do something like a park and fly or something like that, but that didn't kind of work out. So yeah, we just did. We drove there, parked at the airport, and doing all of that made us really, really cut it really, really close. So we got out
Yeah.
of. I think boarding started at 6:55, and we probably got out of security at like 6:50.
Jeez.
um,
This is at
uh,
DFW?
yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
So
Yeah.
yeah, then we had to kind of run to the gate. We got there just in time. We were actually like the last few people boarding, so that was really fun. Um,
Wow.
and we got on the plane. We were good. Um, and then of course, getting there early in the morning. One thing that's kind of interesting is it's cool getting to a place super early, but one thing that I do find that's kind of annoying is you have, for most hotels, their actual checkout is at 12, right? So that
Mm,
means usually your room, especially if it's like a busy weekend, like Labor Day weekend or whatever like that, your room probably won't be available until the actual time when they usually tell you, like, I should say checkout is 12, check in is at 3 or something like that.
right. Yo, should I be
And
recording right
so,
now, by the way?
uh, yeah, well, you know what? We can probably go ahead and start recording. But yeah,
Yeah. Okay, I was about.
no,
I
no,
was like,
no.
this is the content that people are coming for, man.
It is, it is. So I can
Okay.
start over anyway. But
No. You're good. You don't have to. Yeah, you just pick up in a decent
yeah,
area.
we can start right here.
Okay, cool.
Um,
And we're good now. All right,
okay, cool.
cool.
So yeah, San Francisco. I got we got there. Um, the issues is that you've got your checkout time for most hotels is like 12 or 11 or something like that. So
Yeah.
they have to use that time to get ready or whatever like that. And if it's really busy, it'll be booked up. But one of the issues is that if you have an early flight and you get there really early, you can't check into your hotel until you know the time that it's ready, which will usually be like 3 or 4 or something like that. So that was
You
kind
just
of annoying. Yeah, you do. You have to hang
First of
around,
all,
chill out.
I didn't know that you were going to San Francisco this week.
Yeah.
Hence the lateness on this week's podcast. But when did you find out you're going to San Francisco?
I remembered Thursday. It was like Thursday night. And so I was trying to get everything kind of prepared.
Yeah, we're painting a picture here, kind of the scramble you were talking about earlier to get to the airport on time. The having to gauge when you can actually go to your hotel, and then not even remembering until the day before your trip that you're even going, right? Because you went on Friday.
Yeah.
This gives me tension just thinking about it. This makes me tense just thinking about it, man.
Yeah. So, well, no, sorry, we flew out Saturday. Sorry, Saturday morning, early Saturday morning. Friday was So, yeah, we had to kind of figure that all out. But it worked out. We as I mentioned earlier, we got to the gate just in time. We were like the last passengers boarding. That's the problem with waking up early. It's really hard.
Everything's harder. Everything is harder.
It really is. It really is. So, So, like I said, we had to kind of figure out and buy time until we could go into the hotel room, and you've already packed bags and stuff like that, and you're coming from the airport, and your room's not going to be ready until 12. And we had a rental car when we went there, but we didn't schedule that until like 1. So
Jeez.
we had gotten there probably around 9 to 10 or something like that. So we had about an hour or so to figure out, or more than an hour, probably about 2 to 3 hours to kill before we could go pick up the car.
Wow.
So that's that was kind of the start of the adventure, really. So
Yeah.
We found a place to eat after the airport. That we kind of were just trying to find places that were getting slowly closer to where we wanted to be. But then eventually kind of made it to where our destination, to where we could get the rental car or whatever like that. Because that's the other thing. So we were staying in San Jose, but we flew into San Francisco.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that's a bit of a drive, right? That's not like you can start around the corner.
Yeah. It's about a like when we got in, it was probably about a 45-minute drive or something like that.
Well, it's not terrible. That's kind of like Dallas to Fort Worth, really, but.
Yeah, but that was before the traffic. So,
Yeah.
when later that day we went back to San Francisco just to kind of like look around and stuff like that, and that drive from the hotel was about an hour and 50 minutes. So
double the time that it should have been.
Yeah.
Why do you think people put up? I don't. Well, I mean, okay, look, I'm talking to a guy who lives in Dallas. I get, but you also live very close to where you work, though, and you
that is
also
true.
are able to work remote. I don't understand people put up with that all the time, man. It's sometimes you have to. Don't get me wrong, but
Uh-huh.
man, wouldn't you want to find if you worked in San Jose, you'd want to find a place to live in San Jose. It's got to be cheaper than San Francisco. San Francisco has the highest, um, price of living, cost of living in the whole country,
Yeah, man.
or
No, you're right.
close to.
You're right.
Anyway,
But I think the big problem is, or the big thing for most people is like, you know, the climate. Because I'm not gonna lie, the whole time that I was there, it was really nice. Um, like that
just
weather
the
was
weather.
really, really great.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, it was what it would the highest that it got up to, I think, when we were there was about 80. But the nights were like 50s and 60s. Most of the day, 50s and 60s. Like it was great. And zero humidity. So I think that, as well as some of the earning potentials that you can get there, it's Silicon Valley and such. Um, I think that was another reason why it's such a coveted place to stay for most people. So
Yeah.
I think that's why. I mean, hey, if I could earn, I don't know, $200,000, I'd
You know.
consider living there.
So what brought you out there? Just for the heck of it, just to check it out? Never been to San Francisco, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, sort of. So Christina wanted to check out uh what was it, Carmel by the beach, city
Okay.
there.
Okay.
And so we kind of just turned like, well, she's like, I want to check out that place, but it's really expensive to actually get a hotel there. So
Yeah.
we decided, let's stay in San Jose. We can use not just, going to Carmel, but also the or surrounding cities of San Jose and stuff like that, and kind of adventure around there. So it was just kind of like a
Nice.
quick little getaway for the Labor Day weekend instead of doing like a normal vacation kind of
Yeah. Well,
uh, deal.
there's no shortage of things to do up there. Was any of it
Hmm.
affordable, or was it all expensive? And I mean that too with California in general. There's no shortage of things to do, but a lot of things do seem to be higher price, I will say.
Yeah. So, I mean, they were expensive, but I'll say what we did was a lot of like actual like nature sightseeing stuff. So it was a little bit. There was no real cost associated with it. I think we did get to go to this cool like mission like that was in Carmel.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I love
so
those.
that was
California Spanish
yeah,
missions, are cool, man.
yeah, man. It was really pretty. So we got to check that out, and that was like $10. Um, and so that was kind of one of the things that we got to check out. But the rest of the stuff was pretty much like just outside. So checking out the beach, checking out just the beautiful scenery that they have. Um, when we were in San Francisco, we kind of looked around. We got to check out the Golden Gate Bridge, which
Oh, you did, man.
apparently, this is a fun fact. It's a toll. It's a toll road
Oh, really?
to go across the Golden Gate Bridge, like to actually drive across. It's a toll.
What if you're a tourist though?
It's still a toll.
What? I don't
So
know. That's crazy. So, but what
so
if you walk
yeah,
across it though?
if you walk across it, you're fine.
Okay, that's quite a
But
walk
if
though.
you
You're getting your
yeah,
steps in.
yeah, you are. Yeah, but if you drive, you were you're gonna have to pay. It was
So
funny because yeah, we got on. Or go ahead.
what was it like driving across it?
Oh, it was pretty, man. It was amazing. Like the scenes of it, like I guess it was really cool, really incredible, and incredibly imposing.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I can imagine. You
like
can't really get
all
an idea how
those.
big it is until you're on it.
Exactly. Because yeah, you see all the pictures and you're like, oh, it's a bridge.
Right. Right.
But you get on it and it's like, oh, okay, I see. I
Yeah,
see.
like super tankers are crossing under that thing, and multiple
Yeah,
super tankers, by the way.
exactly. So yeah, it's incredibly pretty. It's a really cool testament to American ingenuity, and just, if we wanted to build something, we could build it, and we build it massive. So
Yeah, do it bigger for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it was
well, that's
kind of
cool.
cool because the top of it was in the clouds, or they had some fog kind of coming in.
Yeah,
So the top of it, yeah, was cloudy.
so you really kind of got to see it as most iconic state. You know,
Hmm.
that's cool. So was it gold or was it red?
It's red. It's red. I don't know why they called it golden.
I know it needs to be the Redden Gate Bridge. What the heck?
I
Um,
know.
that was a stupid joke. But so you did? Did you bring your Glock with you to cross to the other side to Oakland?
No, man, I was good. Um,
Dang.
I
You
mean,
didn't
we
bring a
actually did
knife.
like
You
just a
didn't bring a
quick
C4 or
turn
anything like
around.
that.
Nah, man, nah.
Yeah,
Oakland's fine. You just chill out.
man. You see Snoop Dogg or Ice Cube when you were out there, or
Nah, man.
no? Oh, that's too bad. Seems like a wasted trip, I guess. But
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
no, that sounds like fun, man. It sounds like it was a good time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say is your favorite part? Um, was it the Golden Gate Bridge? Because I mean, obviously that's an iconic part. The thing about California
Mm-hmm.
is just the cost of living is so great, and the cost of going there is so great, but it's because they use a lot of that money to go towards keeping their state in a state of natural beauty,
Mm.
which I really appreciate. Obviously, the fires have
Mm-hmm.
been horrendous out there. Um, some of them have been man-made, other have been out of their control, but they use a lot of that tourism money to help fund that, to give more tourists a reason to get there. And what's
Mm-hmm.
awesome about it, I think what's the most amazing thing about that state is it's not like you have to really get far from civilization to see and appreciate the beauty that's there, you know?
Very true. Yeah.
So, what would you say that you liked about the most? Because I loved it. We went to Santa Paula a couple of years back, which is just
Mm-hmm.
north of LA. I have some relatives that just moved north of San Francisco, actually, so I'm hoping we can make it out there sometime soon.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what did you like the most?
Mm. Let's see. That's a good question. I think probably my favorite experience there was probably when we went to Carmel by the beach. Just uh, that whole ocean side was incredibly pretty. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, because it was, of course, it was right on the beach or whatever like that. The architecture that they actually had for some of those homes as well were really, really cool. Like some of the homes would have kind of like a cottagey look. Um, and then also some of them would have like very, really cool modern, but it was so unique. I think that was the biggest thing. It was
yeah,
that whole city was very unique in the way it was designed. It had in some ways had a little bit of a European theme or feel, and then a little bit of like a cottagey feel. Like it's really hard to describe, but it was incredibly pretty. And I could tell that like everybody who lived there really cared and took care of that whole city, really and truly.
yeah.
So it was packed, but it was a great experience.
That's
Truly,
awesome.
you know.
And to further that point too, Darian jumping on the live stream here. He says, haven't been to the West Coast, sort of, but I never realized there was a toll, sorry, associated with traveling across the Golden Gate Bridge. Um, and yeah, that just really shows you the lengths at which they are willing to go to, fund and protect what that state has to offer. Is that they will
Mm,
charge a toll on one of the state's biggest landmarks, right?
mm-hmm,
It's kind of wild. It's almost as if you're paying an entrance fee into another landmark, um,
mm-hmm.
except the people that have to commute across there are paying that every single day, which I can only imagine with gas prices and property taxes and all of that, what that adds up to. It's
Yeah.
insane
Yeah.
the cost of living there. I would have to make like 10 times what I make now to reasonably afford to live up there, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. The gas prices are insane. Truly, you are correct. Truly, it was $5 a gallon.
no kidding. $5 a gallon up there?
$5 a gallon. A gallon. The rental car I had to of course, fill that up, and I think it was. I think I paid for like 12 gallons or something like that, and it was $60,
60 bucks, yeah.
$65,
So I get,
which is insane.
yeah, I mean, I get gas taxes and they can claim that it's not, you have to travel more of a distance to provide gas up there, but that's insane. I mean, you
It
can't
is.
justify $2 more a gallon than what's in the Midwest and the South for that.
Yeah, or just the national average in general. Like, I don't. It's kind of insane, but it does make sense why there were so many electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles there, because
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, hey, I would buy I would instantly buy a gas vehicle, or sorry, an electric vehicle, or some sort of a hybrid, if I had to pay that much in gas. Like,
Well,
no, I'm ugh.
you gotta believe that that's one of the main reasons that they have the gas so high out there is to try and incentivize people to buy either more fuel efficient or hybrid or electric vehicles, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it just makes me wonder, does that work? I guess it does. It would force people to either do that or bicycle or take public transit,
Yeah.
which is largely
Yeah.
electric in that area either way.
Yeah.
But that's crazy to me. That is some price gouging and some heavy manipulation as well, because
Yes.
you do have this huge port behind the Golden Gate Bridge. You can't tell me that they're not bringing in oil, right? I know it's largely
Mm-hmm.
electronics and other things, um, but you would have to believe that they're getting oil transports to some extent. So there
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
necessarily be a reason to charge an arm and a leg to fill up your tank, right? What kind of
Yeah.
car?
Exactly. It was a Toyota Camry, so
Um,
nothing fancy. It was
no,
actually pretty fuel efficient, and it actually worked out really well. So
but
most of the
did
time, I
you
was getting like
die?
40 miles to the gallon.
Did you die of boredom, or
I
I'm surprised? I
mean,
mean,
hey,
clearly you're still here, so
hey, I can find entertainment in any car, so it wasn't that bad.
that's true. It's true. Again, I will bring up the bug-looking Scion that you liked.
Yeah, man. Hey,
Yeah,
it worked out. It
I,
was cool.
I know. Just had me concerned about your well-being, but um, well, I'm glad the trip was good. I'm glad you were able to
Mm.
return with some money.
Yeah,
That's a good.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, California is a whole other world, just like Texas is. But I
Hmm.
feel like Texas is more affordable, and California is more beautiful. So, um, good that you got a Labor Day getaway. I was um, pretty busy actually, but it was good. Um, got the ride all spiffed up. Man, that truck went
Nice.
from its worst condition after getting it keyed to its best
Hmm.
condition. It looks fantastic now. But so I was pretty laborious on my Labor Day. But
Hmm.
I was also wrapped up in listening to, wait for it, the new Drake album. And
Mm.
I I want to talk about it. I think it's a
Hmm.
topic we should discuss today, because anytime Drake drops a new album, there's only a few guys that I can think of that are out there that are like this, right? Drake
Hmm.
is, he's got to be the biggest. But, Taylor Swift is kind of like this, Bruno Mars kind of, Kanye definitely. Um, the country starts talking about it, and
Yeah.
really the world starts reacting to it. And those kind of personalities and artists in particular are fewer and further in between. But there are
Hmm.
things I want to talk about this one in particular, from kind of admittedly kind of a musician standpoint, but also more of an existential standpoint as well. And where I want to come at this from is the approach lyrically, and I think that's what people gravitate toward Drake for, is they
Mm-hmm.
find something they can relate to in what he's talking about. Um, and this is a much different, much more, I guess you could say, aggressive approach lyrically. But even says in the album description on Apple Music, it says toxic masculinity. So
Mm-hmm.
he admits that in the album description. Oddly enough, that's what some people are hating on him for.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the other thing I want to talk about is the hatred toward this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to hate on you when you're at the top, but that's really what I want to talk about is, are there any heroes left? I think they're fewer and further in between because of social media, because of mass media, that we tear people down, we build them up and then tear them down as much as we
Mm-hmm.
can. And really, I think Drake has managed his brand better than any other person in music right now. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
manages brand kind of like MJ, right? I
Mm-hmm.
was actually thinking about this the other day. He manages his brand like Michael Jordan because you really the average Michael Jordan fan really doesn't know that he was married to a different woman in the 90s than he is now, and
Mm-hmm.
divorced and
Yep.
gambling problem and potentially an alcohol problem with the flu game, right? And like those type of
Yep.
things. The average person doesn't know that because he manages his brand incredibly well. And that's what Drake does. I'm not saying he's like the role model that parents should have their kids look up to, but they could because he's managed his brand very well. And I think that is a great thing that I want to talk about. So that's what we're going to focus on today. Let's go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and jump into it. Boom. All right, I'm going to
Boom.
pull this too because I want to make sure I don't deviate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see here. All right, let's do the intro.
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? I'm John,
And I'm Denison.
and this is the Catchup.
All right.
God. All right, ready?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. God, anyway, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm. All right.
This feels refreshing when you say that, you know?
Exactly.
Okay. All right, here we go. 3,
Let's do
2, 1. All right, so if you heard the beat at the very beginning of this, as always, I make all the beats that we intro over, but that one was definitely the most Drake inspired beat, I guess you would say, kind of the slow R&B chill Drake beat. And honestly, he's influenced a lot of what I do in regard to that type of music when I produce it, right? But actually, I would say he heavily influences even my rock stuff, and you're not going to notice it. The average person isn't going to notice it, but when I get stuck in a way that I want to approach something in a unique way, especially melodically, it often goes to a Drake song, and it's because to me, what really makes his stuff great, just as much as his vocals and his lyrics, are the beats and the complexity of them, and maybe they're not, jazz standards, right? But they are not industry standards either. They're really not. There's a different level. In fact, there's a song on the new album that starts off when the 808 comes in. And let me make sure I have. I want to be able to reference these properly. It's called "In the Bible," and the first bass note, the first 808 note on that is so weird. It and you don't expect it, and it catches your ear, but it works. And especially when it goes through the whole progression and it comes back to it, it really works. And I love that. So, just saying that off the top. Before we fully get into it, I want to say 2 best ways you can support us. Actually, 3. Leave us a rating and review and subscribe. Let us know what you think of these episodes, and we'll react to it each and every week, of course, but it tells the algorithm that people are reacting to the show, and it will help us continue to grow. Also, check out our website, nosignalrocks.com. We have a drop-down menu on there that'll take you to the Catchup podcast page. You can check out all of our merch, like what I'm showing on the live stream right now. We have t-shirts, hoodies, hats, phone cases, mugs. And then we also have all of the episodes and all the videos all in one location you can watch. And then on top of that, like I said, we are live streaming right now on Facebook. So go to facebook.com/theketchupcast. All this is linked in the description of this episode. So please check all of that out. But with that said, before we go on, have you listened to this album yet?
I have listened to about half of it.
Okay.
I've been trying to actually listen to the last bit of it. But so far, so good. It's actually it feels like a lot of kind of return to form for him.
Yeah.
From what he's been doing for the past few albums. It's very, like you said before, it's very lyrically intensive. It's more kind of it's like old Drake. It's kind of like the raw version of Drake before he got really, really big. I think this is kind of like the music that I think he wanted to produce and make, all the time. And then he kind of had to change things up a little bit afterwards. But yeah, I dig it, man. I really do. It does. I'm not going to lie. I think some people won't like it just because it's not typical Drake, I guess.
Well, it's not the Drake that they've found in the past 3 years,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And I'll be honest, before people are out here saying, "Oh, you're just a Drake fanboy," I do like just about everything he does. I at least appreciate it to some degree, but I wasn't really a fan of Scorpion. Came out in 2018. There were some good songs on there. And I know it's like the ones that really made him a household name, like God's Plan and In My Feelings, things like that. But I wasn't really a huge fan of that album. And then Dark Lane demo tapes that came out last year, I wasn't really into that super much either. It was okay. It had its moments on there. But what was funny to me was I was listening to that. I was like, how are you going to call this demo tapes? This sounds way more produced than the average person's album by far. But then compared to this album, those are demo tapes, man.
Yeah.
Not only do those beats, how they sound or how they're structured, I mean, but the sound quality, to me, this is one of the best mixed albums I've heard in recent memory.
Oh yeah.
Mixed so well. It feels clear and there's space in it, and it feels almost 3D, like you're sitting in the middle of it,
Yeah, no, I think it's it's not just mixed better. I think it's just I feel like there was a lot more attention to detail in this album than he's had, and who knows how long. Actually, it's kind of hard to tell, but I feel like
probably since Views, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is just one of these albums that he's probably been working on longer than what we would think. It might have been like he's been working on this probably since Views. It's just he has been waiting for, at least beats wise and stuff like that, to try to get everything to work exactly how he wanted it. Because it's just better.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the other ones were just there to try to get like stuff to get people like, into his music, really,
Yeah.
right? To get
Mhm.
sales.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Um, and with that, yeah, well, I have to say too, as someone who follows him on social media, I know he had been talking about Certified Lover Boy for at least 2 years. Um, and so I was kind of surprised when he put out the Dark Lane demo tapes instead, but
Mhm.
or last year, but I think that was partly pandemic related. Um, I feel like they kind of threw that together. Uh, but with that said, first, before I get into lyric content, right, I want to know how we feel about the album cover. It is, for those who don't know, it's 12 pregnant woman emojis, 3 rows, 4 each. And they're just, all different colors and everything. It looks weird, in my opinion. What do you think about
Mhm.
it?
I think it does look weird. It looks really weird. It kind of it sounds weird, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of like the sticker bomb kind of look. Have you you know what I'm
Oh,
talking about?
yeah,
Like they'll
yeah,
see on some cars. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, kind of like
Um
it was like very popular in Asian culture, right? To do that to your cars and
mhm.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Or like the drift scene and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of reminds me a lot of that. Like it has that at least the amount of color, but at the same time, there's kind of like a little bit of chaos in the background too.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
It is interesting, but I think it kind of works for just the album content in general. So
Yeah. I I think it's weird. I don't mind it. What I do like about it is that it doesn't say Drake anywhere on it. It doesn't say
hmm
the album title on it. And I think that is such a flex. I also think it's such a flex to put such a weird album cover on there and then back it up with some of the best songs of his career. You know,
hmm
that is so cool. That's so freaking cool. So I dig it in that sense. But I'll tell you what, kind of a funny story. I posted um some lyrics. The 90 album came out. I was hanging out with somebody and we were listening to it
hmm
the night it came out. And um I posted some lyrics overnight, right? And I put that emoji in the bottom corner of it because it's all over social media. Even ESPN
yeah.
made a post that Drake dropped a new album. Like, come on, right?
hmm
So I'm thinking people gonna know. I had 5 people reach out to me thinking I was making a pregnancy announcement.
Uh,
Yeah. I said, okay, do you really think that that would be how I would do that? Is by posting some savage lyrics on Instagram and be like, this is it. Surprise, everybody. Your boy would be freaking out. I would be freaking out. It would not be that calm. I'll tell you right now. So I was like, wow, that blew me away. Had to straighten them all up. I ended up just posting the album cover after that on my story and
hmm
let that speak for itself. I'm like, I don't know how you guys missed this, but whatever. Um, so anyway, but lyrically, let's go into this because this is something that again I think is the big draw for Drake. It's not with him. I mean, he definitely puts out the club bangers. Um,
hmm
have you gotten away too sexy yet?
I have not. I have not.
Okay, okay. It gets weird, but it's definitely something you're gonna hear at the club for sure. You are definitely gonna hear that at the club. He definitely does that, but um, that's not really what his main thing is. It's the fact that he is in his feelings, and it has that deeper emotional level on it that people, just the way he words it, can connect to. Also,
hmm
in my opinion, beyond that, there's a deeper layer to most of the things that he's saying. It's a reference to
Yeah.
another thing. Um, what blows me away with this one, and really with all of them, but this one in particular, is how recent he writes these lyrics. Right? There's
Yep.
a there's a song that you haven't gotten to yet, but it's called "No Friends in the Industry." Um, and he says, "I'd be like Shikari smoking people in and out of the arena." Right?
Mm-hmm.
So he references Shakari Richardson
Mm-hmm.
and her marijuana issue. That happened in July, I think,
Yeah, I think
and
so.
this album came out at the end of August. That's crazy. It's a lot of work in a short amount of time.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
It is.
but there seems to be a little more aggressive nature, a little more well, it is a return to form, like you said. And another thing I wanted to mention on the return to form is melodically too. It's not just so much straightforward um single note rap, but there is a whole
Mm-hmm.
melody. Drake, he's back to being a singing dude again,
Yeah,
in a lot of
exactly.
these. And he's very,
Yeah.
very good at that. And I think it's not that he's not good at the other stuff. He's just great at singing to a beat with a melody, rapping to a beat
Yeah.
with a melody. Um,
Yeah.
so
And
how do
if
you
I'm not
feel about this?
mistaken too, or go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
no, I was just asking you. You go ahead.
Oh well, I was just gonna say, like, and if I'm not mistaken, that's something he enjoys more of the singing role in general. I think saw like an interview with him a long time ago or whatever like that, where he, that was, he's that was kind of essentially when he wanted to get into the music industry. That was like his main thing. He wanted to do that before any of the any of the other stuff. But uh but just how I feel about like the lyrics that he's got going on in his album. I think they're cool. Or cool sounds weird. No, I think they're really good. I think they're really incredibly powerful, but it's really cool because, and I guess this is where the cool part comes in, is that I can tell that he's speaking from the heart instead
Yeah.
of just like spitting um random lyrics and just to make it sound good or whatever like that. I think a lot of it is, and I think that's what I commend him a lot about this album in general. It's He's not sugarcoating anything. He's just talking about who he is and what he's
Yeah.
dealing with. Um and you know, you're either gonna like it or you're not.
Yeah. I had
So
somebody come into work, um, somebody I work with asked me if I like the album. I said, yes, very much. I think it's maybe the best thing he's ever done. And they were like, I think it's toxic. And you saying that means you're toxic, which I'm just like, wow, okay. Pot calling kettle black if you're just going to talk to me that way, honestly. But
mhm.
um, that's a whole other issue. The thing is, to me, I find it interesting that people would find it toxic because he is being real with uh, how he had approached women. And over the course of the album, and the longer you listen to it, Denison, you'll find this too. He realizes the impact that has had on himself and other people too. He kind of
Mhm.
starts to talk about that in different situations. Have you listened to TSU yet?
Mhm.
Yeah. So I love they did a song about Texas State. Um,
Yeah.
and the culture down there too, to be real.
Mhm.
um, to be real. I mean, I don't know. I'm just calling it like I sees it. Um, but what he's talking about is the party lifestyle, and uh, mentions this girl that works at a strip club or whatever, but she's trying to get straight with her life and make something of her life, and he's just supporting it, right? So, in a
Mhm.
weird way, like it starts off with him kind of talking about how he's up in the club making it rain and all that kind of stuff, but then he's
Mhm.
helping her make something of her life with the struggles that she went through. And to me, like you can't talk about that without being introspective at the same time, and you know, and realizing, hey, like, you know, I can be better than this too, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
that to me kind of
Um,
was the point of the song.
yeah. No, I mean, I think also it's just a great perspective just in general on like um I guess the world culture in general, like on how we've perceived things over the years, right? Or even just a great perspective over like rap culture in general too. Because I think if anything, what the song or even just the album in general has slowly kind of started, at least from what I've been hearing, is like a great um I guess I don't know if this is I was gonna say like soliloquy to um rap culture in general, like what it first started to out to portray,
Yeah,
and what you were told to buy into. And I'm not going to say that it hasn't changed, or I'm not going to say that it is changing because some of it hasn't, but I think
yeah,
it has changed with uh, everyone's perspective starting to change. And I think, if anything, a lot of this album has been going off of that, right? It's kind of like, hey, this is what when I first came into um, really this entertainment space, um, this was what I was told, this is what I taught. And so I portrayed this out, and this is how I thought, right?
yeah,
And then as time went on, I started to change because I started to see the reason why I shouldn't firsthand.
yeah, yeah. And to me, that is the most outstanding part about this is it tells a story, and it that is what makes Drake, to me, out of all the other things I've said, truly great. Is he's never succumbed or conformed to typical stereotypical rap culture, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's true even when he features on songs with other people. You know, he's even Future is a business partner with him. Like Future helps run OVO Sound, you know, which is Drake's
Mm-hmm.
brand. But even then, you know, they'll get on a track together, and Future will be talking about his, you know, Sands and Percocets, right?
Uh-huh.
You know, but I mean, think of a song that Future has done that hasn't had a mention of one of those two things in it. I can't think of one. He even was on the song. He's like Percocet, Zan
Yeah.
Percocet. Like the chorus was that. Come on, dog. So, yeah, so I mean, but somehow Drake manages to take that and through wordplay, even sometimes just change the meaning into something deeper, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
there are two songs I want to touch on in particular right now. One of them is the outlier of this album to me when I talk about having this deeper meaning, and it's called "Girls Want Girls." Right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So me as a musician, I know why he made this song. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think he made this song for? I already know. I know you do too. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. I'll tell you right now. I'll just tell you, bro. I feel
Okay.
like he made this song for TikTok. He did with Tootsie Slide. That's literally why he made that song.
Yeah.
Um, and the chorus, just the flow of it and everything. Like I literally, right when I heard it, I was like, I heard a dozen other songs on TikTok where it has like girls dancing to it for like 15 seconds. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's exactly what I think. Just being provocative with it. It was kind of weird because that being provocative in that way hasn't been trendy for like 15 years. You know?
Yeah.
Um, so that was kind of weird, but you know, so I mean, the one of the first lines is "Say that you're a lesbian will grow me too," you know, like that kind of whole thing. I
Mm-hmm.
find it odd. I'm not a fan of it. I am a fan of the flow. It's got stuck in my head, and you know what? I just looked on Apple Music and it's his top song on Apple
Of
Music.
course it is. Of course it
Yeah.
is. Well, I mean, I so I didn't think of TikTok instantly when I heard it. I was actually thinking of just club song, like
Well, that
perfect
too.
club song.
Yep.
Like this is that everyone wants it to get played. It's going to be the high life kind of sound. It
Yeah.
sounds weird, but essentially,
No.
yeah, that's what I saw. And uh, and I think that was the reason why. Because to be honest, I think it's a club song masquerading as something a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because right, you're gonna listen to the beat most of the time, and you're just gonna be like, oh yeah, and you're vibing with it or whatever like that, instead of actually listening to what's actually going on in it.
Yeah.
And I think that was, I think that was the whole thing, the whole point. Also, it's
Yeah.
a great way to sell your album.
Oh yeah. Well, I
It's an
mean,
album seller.
it is. And I mean, yeah, because he was talking about she wants him to come through, and then that kind of post chorus where he's like, I don't know, I might come, I might go, I don't know, he's being
Mm-hmm.
conflicted with that her party lifestyle. I think it's interesting. I'm looking on
Mm-hmm.
Spotify right now, and it is the most popular song of his on Spotify right now too. This album came out Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and this song already has 26 million plays on it. That's
That's
insane.
crazy.
Yeah, but even still, with this song, the very last thing after he finally says, "For the last time, girls want girls where I'm from." He says, "But I know you want to roll with the gang, and I know you want the finest of things. Ask me about settling down because things are going my way." Like that hits heavy. He provides context and meaning to it
Mm-hmm.
at the very end. So yeah,
Yep.
it's this club banger. It's this TikTok trendy song, but it shows that to him personally, there's a deeper meaning to this, and it's people want to be around him because he has things going his way, and he's just trying to find
Mm-hmm.
that real connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And that's what I was saying. Like it's just you masquerade. It's a masquerade kind of deal.
yeah, yeah. So other things, fair trade, love that song, and that's kind of a theme through the album is cutting down on who you surround yourself with and only surround yourself with the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because he says, I've been losing friends and finding peace. Honestly, it sounds like a fair trade to me, which was the lyrics I posted, by the way. That got everybody all hot and bothered thinking I was having a kid. Um, and then the other one is effing fans. Okay. I don't know if you listened to that one yet.
I haven't listened to that one.
Yeah. And you don't really know based off the title which direction that's going to go. But man, that one hit me deep, man.
Hmm.
That one really hit. Like to the point where I just like was stopping what I was doing. I was like, geez, I just have to listen to this for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he was talking about just it was very introspective, and he was talking about this past relationship he had, but he should have been at home, but he was out with a fan, right? And if he
Mm-hmm.
hadn't done that, she'd probably still be around, all this kind of stuff, right? And it was very
Mm-hmm.
deep and honest. And he even put a year to it, and it sounded like this person was an artist, and I don't know who he was referencing, but it was like 2014, which I
Mm.
feel like was Nicki Minaj, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but it was interesting. There is that moment that Nicki comes in on the second song where he's like referring to all the other rappers as his sons. And he's like, "Don't
Mm-hmm.
make me go get your mama right now." And then her voice comes on. That was so cool. Um, there's technically a follow up to YOLO on this album too. They have and it has Lil Wayne on it too, on that song. It's called "You Only
Really?
Live Twice." Yeah, which is a reference to that, and it's also the title of a James Bond movie, obviously. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it has Rick Ross off the top, and it's so cool because the song before it just has this like epic reverb, and
Mm-hmm.
then how Rick Ross's thing is like Maybach music, like the producer
Yeah.
tag.
Yeah.
So it goes from like side to side. You just hear, and then the beat comes in like right off the top. It was so sick. I was like, whoa, this is really cool. There's so many Easter eggs, so many nuggets. I could go on and on. But really, the thing that I wanted to talk about outside of this, we got to the point of, the lyrics, and to me, what makes him good is providing a deeper context, even if he feels like he needs to go the direction of something more savage or ratchet or whatever. He provides a deeper meaning to it, and I can say that even on um what was it, What a Time to Be Alive, where he did that entire album with Future. And so obviously most of it was about party life, but just about every single song he provided a deeper meaning to it, even if it was just simply heartbreak or something like that.
Yeah.
And so with that album too, I don't know how you could say this one's inherently toxic versus that. I don't know. But anyway,
it's not a part of woke culture, man.
yeah, you gotta stay woke, Drake. No, and that's what I appreciate is that he did not change who he is. He just showcased more of who he is, But no, I mean, the other thing is too, so there's another song on this album called 7 a.m. on Bridle Path. Okay. Bridle Path is the road that Drake lives on. And I know we've talked about this a little bit, but the beef between he and Kanye is crazy. It's nuts. And you and I were talking about that off mic when you were up here last week, but wait, what were you going to say?
No. Go ahead. I already know where you're going. So,
well, did you know? So you knew about this, that Kanye posted his address on Instagram. Did you know this? Yeah. And then he took it down. Well, Drake, in the most savage of responses, because he's been doing that for a while, where it's like a 24-hour cycle is like 4 p.m. in Calabasas, 6 p.m. in Dallas, all over the world, sorts of things. He has the Houston, Atlanta, Vegas song and all that.
Yeah.
But, and they reference that on one of those songs too, actually. I don't think you've gotten there yet, but yeah, they do. Anyway, so this is 7 a.m. on Bridle Path, and that's the road that he lives on. So that's the savage response is Kanye went ahead and posted up his address. Drake makes a song about his address, right? And then he goes through and he's and this is really the thing too. So there's this kind of theory with and it's not really so much of a theory. I'd put money on it at this point. But even on Sicko Mode, the second part of that song that he did with Travis Scott is roasting Kanye.
Yep.
And so this part in 7 a.m. on Bridle Path, he says that's why you're buying into the hype that the press is feeding you. The fourth level of jealousy is called media. Isn't that an ironic revelation? Give that address to your driver, make it your destination instead of just a post out of desperation. And that, I don't know why anyone beefs with Drake. Like ever since Back to Back came out, and he just destroyed Meek Mill and basically ended his career for like 3 years. I don't know why anyone would do it, but he does this in such a dismissive way. The only time I really knew without looking it up when he roasted Kanye was he said, if we're talking top 3, you've been sliding from or if he was like, if we're talking who's at the top, you've been sliding to number 3 for a minute. And I was like, well, obviously that's Kanye because it's him.
Yeah.
It's Drake, Jay-Z, and Kanye, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I really appreciate that. But even with Sicko Mode, he was like crept down the block, took a right, cut the lights out of sight, blah, blah, blah. And basically, if he crept down his block and took a right, he would be at Kanye's house.
Yeah, which is also Kim's house.
It was at the time. And so cutting the lights and all that stuff, you can kind of guess where that reference is going. But he's not explicitly saying that. Yeah. But he is massively throwing shade in a very catchy way. Those lyrics stick in your head. But you, without doing research, the average person is not going to know what that is all about, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And well, I was also going to ask, I can't remember because there's isn't the not the sicko mode, but isn't the music video for I don't know why I think I'm just tired, but uh, um, isn't the music video have doesn't the music video have like a Kim Kardashian
oh,
double?
yeah, and one of them,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Um, I can't remember
um, I'm
which
trying to
song that's
remember
on.
which one it is.
Yeah. Um,
Which I feel like is also um, another nod, or not nod, but another kind of roast um, to uh, Kanye.
dang. Oh, this was just, I didn't notice that actually. Um, and yeah, apparently he hinted at romancing Kim Kardashian in a new song.
Hmm.
Uh, again, and then yeah, there's a supposedly a Kim Kardashian lookalike in the new video for "Way Too Sexy," which if you haven't watched that, it is hilarious. It's super funny. Um, and yeah, I did not notice that. So yeah, it
Hmm.
continues. I don't know if I'd be beefing that way. I'll be honest. I'm not here trying to defend everything this guy does. I just do appreciate a lot of what he does, but I wouldn't
Hmm.
I wouldn't be touching that. I wouldn't. But but yeah, it's interesting. On a different trajectory. Now, this is more the existential part of this discussion. Drake has an Instagram live when the album drops, right?
Hmm.
He's just talking to people directly on Instagram live. Like, what a cool thing, Dude never does that.
Yeah.
And he's reacting to what people are saying. And people, of course, you're gonna have a clean version of this. You're gonna have crap posters, right? That's just how
Yeah.
social media works. But
Yeah.
people are
That's just
literally,
normal.
yeah, I mean, people are literally going on there, and they were doing this on ESPN's post about the album too, and telling them that it's mid, right? Which is like modern for just average. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he, on one of them I saw, he was like, man, he's like, you can take that and you can go to ESPN.com slash or backslash message boards backslash nobody gives a shit. I was like, man, um, but just why is it within our culture that we just feel the need to go? I mean, is it jealousy? That's the only thing I can think of. We've talked about this before, where I think jealousy is one of the most toxic and contagious negative things that we have in our society. I mean,
Hmm.
is that what this is about? Because that's all I can really figure, man. Why would you
Yeah.
go? Because picture it like this. This happens with my job too. Happens with the media. This happens with city councilor jobs. It happens with school board member jobs. That people think they can go and tell them how to do their job. So it happens with artists too, right? And just what would get in somebody's head where they feel like I have to tell this person this negative thing? Where on the reverse of that, if the roles were reversed, they'd be riding high because they put all this work into something and they actually get to share it with the world now. You know?
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, for me, to be honest, I think it's just, I mean, and I hate to continue to go back to this, but I think there are a true logical, like, reasoning that on why this is I always want to go back to social media, right? It's social media gave you the feeling that you can post whatever you want or your opinion matters incredibly, an incredible amount. Um, and I don't want to diminish anyone by saying like, hey, your opinion doesn't matter, but I think it matters in certain points in certain cases, right? I don't
Yeah.
think you always need to go there, but I do feel like social media and the feeling of anonymity really gives you that feeling like, hey, I can just say what I want to say and there aren't any consequences to it, or I don't need to worry about what that other person is saying, right? And it also makes you feel as though I feel like we put celebrities and stuff like that on such pedestals of thinking that they're just not humans when they really are. They're literally just normal people, just people who happen to make it big or, something took off for them, but they're still a normal person like everybody else, still have feelings. But I feel like we look at them as something subhuman,
Yeah.
and we feel like we can say what we want and they won't get offended, or they'll say something else, right? Because I mean, think about it, right? If you're any sort of influencer or um, very popular person, famous person, or whatever like that, you can be the nicest person to everybody, but you have that one bad day that you say something bad to one of your fans, and then you turn into like a monster. Everybody
Yeah.
seems to hate you at that point.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, I agree, and I think that I really don't know the best way to articulate this. I think people look at people they see on TV or hear in music or whatever and almost dehumanize them, almost like they're a product, right?
yep.
In the case of if you bought a fly swatter on Amazon, you were displeased with it, you would put a negative review on Amazon, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
would allow the manufacturer to know to make a difference. And it's almost like they approach it that way with talent, which is not at all the same thing. A mass produced item, household item that could be improved is not the same as somebody's body of work that you're going to jump on and tell them it's complete trash, right?
Yep.
Complete trash. And this happens in my job all the time. That people will call us and bash us. And I've watched some school board meetings where they've debated bringing back masks, and these some of these public speakers have just been up there calling them everything but idiots. Calling them everything but idiots. I'm
Yeah.
like, what? How would you like if I went to your blue collar job and just talked trash about how you did your job all day,
Mm-hmm.
roasted you for your job? It's a
Exactly.
very select uh, group of people that receive this, but a very large group that give it. And I think it comes from a dehumanizing aspect of media and social media, even though it's the idea and the antithesis of that was for that to be the opposite, right?
Yep.
Um, but it's like this weird desire that we have that I believe either comes from out of jealousy or envy or insecurity, to tear down
Mm-hmm.
people that could be looked at as heroes. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about it earlier, but I can really only think of a few that are pop culture heroes, not necessarily life heroes, sure. Um, but like Drake or Michael Jordan that have maintained that image and not lost it, not lost it over
Mm-hmm.
time. And that is, I mean, Drake has managed it very well. He rarely posts. His posts are brief in nature. He doesn't really show the inner workings of his life too much. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that keeps anything negative from happening. He lets his lyrics kind of do that rather than his posts.
Yep.
Uh, and so I think that's a great thing. And even the other thing is too, when he does post, like he was posting, I remember last year he was posting him being in Turks and Caicos and, like hanging in the pool with his friends. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like a month later that he dropped those two singles with DJ Khaled that were recorded down there,
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a teaser to that. Which was pretty cool. But it's almost like this innate desire for us to tear that down in any way we can. And we didn't have access to do that back in the 90s and the early 2000s. So there were a
Mm-hmm.
lot more pure looking people, I believe, pure appearing people.
Yeah.
And quite
Yeah.
frankly, there's a lot of that I think about. Like, would Friends have worked nowadays? If the cast of Friends had to make 3 posts a week on their social media accounts, you know, um, would things like that, and then they're interacting with fans, would it have worked nowadays? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Due to social media, and I think that is one of the reasons that. First of all, it was a bummer for me because I'm hyped. I'm a fan of this new Drake album, very excited
Yeah.
for it, and just see other people try to tear that down just because maybe they don't like it. But there's very slim chance you listen to the whole thing by the time you're commenting that at that point that I was watching. And or they just want to hate to hate, and it just
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that within my heart, and I don't understand why people would act that way, but it's something that I noticed, and even the biggest names in the world aren't immune to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh, yeah, and I also feel like sometimes people just do that because they want to feel like they're going against the grain, right?
Oh, definitely,
Even if
definitely.
they really enjoy the album or enjoy the music, they will say, "Oh, she was okay," or something
Right.
like that, because they don't want to feel as though they're going with the crowd. They want to feel like there's some sort of a different, like they have some sort of a crazy different opinion than everyone else, or something like that, to make them stand out more. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, I don't know. I feel like people really do, and I kind of go back to the social media thing, but I feel like people get off on that. It sounds weird, but I feel like people really do like that because it gives them some form of attention, right? Like
Mhm.
that's the thing, right? Who most people, I bet you the person who, got Drake annoyed enough to where he said like, yeah, you can post on ESPN, blah blah blah. That person probably felt validated in some way because it's like,
Yes.
oh, Drake noticed me and he, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it might not have been a great way to get noticed, but for them, they're just like, oh man, this is great. And so
I
for
got
them, it was
noticed.
just a nice, yeah, exactly. I got a dopamine shot of, man, I
Yep.
feel great because I've been noticed, you know.
They're that desperate for attention that they would do
Yeah,
that. I completely agree. Completely agree
exactly.
with you. And it's sad. It is sad, but
It
I
is.
completely agree, man. Um, yeah, to me, the other confusing thing about it is why do people feel like other people would care what their opinion is, right? Like, I'm going to tell you, and yes, we're talking about it on the podcast tonight in
Mm-hmm.
almost review form, but something deeper. Um, but to just post on a platform, and specifically a post that thousands of people are going to see, and you think that it matters that other people know that you do or don't like this. I find that crazy to me.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks
Yeah.
that they have the biggest voice, and it's like a struggle to the top for that biggest voice. And
Mm-hmm.
really, quite honestly, it's right on par with me with what you had for breakfast that you're posting. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Exactly.
No, you can
Exactly.
you can take that elsewhere. If you want to let us know on our live stream, you want to leave a rating and review on this podcast, by all means, comment that. But if you're trying to do it for reaction from other commenters, then take that elsewhere. Take that
Exactly.
elsewhere. You know? So yeah, I don't get the culture. I never have. I never will, but it's keyboard warriors. Um,
Yeah.
you know, Twitter fingers turn to trigger fingers. Now, I feel like that's a good way to wrap this up is with a Drake reference. But um,
Hmm.
look, I think we had a great discussion on this. I appreciate you indulging my Drake fandom. I do encourage you to finish the album because if you liked it so far, it only is more complete by the time you finish it all up. It really is.
Oh yeah.
Um, so it was very, very good. And with that said, even if you're somebody listening to this that doesn't appreciate that music or understand it, I get it. But I actually would put money that there's probably a song on there that you would like. So, which is pretty impressive. It's rare of artists these days. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyway, yeah. Once again, leave us a rating and review. Subscribe if you
Mm-hmm.
like us. And then check out our website, nosignalrocks.com. All of these things I'm
Mm-hmm.
about to mention are linked down in the description of this episode. There'll be a drop down menu on our website for the podcast. You can check out our clean merch, our videos, all of our episodes in one place. We're live on Facebook right now, and you can follow that
Mm-hmm.
and get alerted anytime we go live on Facebook at facebook.com/the Catchup Cast, Instagram.com/the Catchup Cast. We're over on Instagram as well. We're constantly uploading new things over there, as well as new shorts over on YouTube, and
Mm-hmm.
in fact, new full length videos over there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you can watch the full live stream format over on our YouTube channel. And email us at theketchupcast@gmail.com. That's theketchupcast@gmail.com. And tell them why, Denison. Tell them why, man.
Oh man, because it's a great way to be able to reach out to us and just kind of, comment about what we are doing, reach out to us about any sort of collaboration that you would like to do, or even just reach out to us about a topic that you would like us to cover. Those are all great ways for us to be able to connect with you and for you to be able to connect with us. That's the reason why we have it. And we truly do enjoy everyone who reaches out to us that way. So please do. It's just great way to connect with you guys, and
Yep.
we really do want to get to a point where we can have a whole episode dedicated to question and answers or topics that are specifically asked about from our listeners. I think it would be a great thing to do.
I do too. I do too. So, a bunch of ways to connect with us. And thank you for allowing us to connect with you this week. Thank you so much for catching up with us. And we'll catch up with you next week.